So welcome to another video from playersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And welcome to the monthly debrief for March 2021. That's what this is, right?
I think so. March was a blur.
We're debriefing, yeah.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
It was a blur.
I feel like we just made the one for February, like last week.
Which is crazy to me because March is a longer month.
Yeah, I know.
It's 31 days. It's 3 days longer.
But a part of that is also we honestly didn't play it as much as we normally would have done, right?
I had a procedure that I had to quarantine for a week. Before, I was then down for a week, and then I've kind of been recovering the last week. So we did not game very much this month. I'm sad to say we really did not game this much.
Our gaming was like crammed at the beginning.
And it was lighter stuff because we just didn't have the time.
Yep.
And now, like today was the first time we've played since that, and it's like I'm just trying to get back into the swing of it. So I feel bad. I feel like March wasn't grandiose. No. We could have done a lot more, but we didn't. I'm
sure we said, oh, we're going to play this and have all these plans to play like TCS and all this stuff, and we did none of it.
I think we did say we were going to play TCS area.
Yeah,
so
I said, I've got the rules on my nightstand. Yeah. Well, the rules are over here now. They've been
moved about 40 feet to the basement. To the bunker.
Oh, no. Yeah. So that's still in the works.
So life got in the way in March.
Yeah.
Frankly.
And it happens, and that's okay.
But we still played games.
Yes.
We played some games with our kids. We played some games solo.
Yes.
We still did blog stuff. We still were productive.
Yeah, most people would not have noticed.
We've got such a backlog of videos waiting to put up.
So this month, what do we play? What do we actually play?
In March, we talked about this. At the beginning of the month, we played some Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
Yes.
With me, you, and John, our father-in-law.
And I'm sure they're like, oh, you talk about that every month. Well, we play it every month.
We played it again. And we're almost done.
You'll probably hear about it for 2 more months.
Yeah. But we also played some Aliens. So I've got the...
Yes.
And this is the one that you painted for me. This is like a dungeon crawler? For lack of a better word.
No, it's like a co-op dungeon crawlery survival game. Miniatures.
Based on the Aliens universe.
So, and it's very, very good.
Yeah. Best movie in the series has now become a game.
Yeah.
It is by far the best movie in the series, Aliens. You can't even contest that. You think Alien's better? Or Alien is better? Alien's great. It's a totally different movie.
Yes. And
this is more of a kick-ass movie.
That's why it's hard to compare them.
I know. Alien is more of a horror...
Alien's a horror movie.
Not knowing what's going on.
One of the best movies I've ever watched.
This is, they see the objective, they just can't do anything about the objective.
Aliens is incredible.
It's amazing.
They're both 10s, but for very different reasons, right?
Agree, but I have always felt drawn to Aliens, but I'll still watch Alien.
Yeah, those are both.
So anyway,
those are both the best in this franchise.
Yeah, so this game we played kind of that introductory scenario.
Yes,
and had a ball. Right,
it was very good.
It was. I think we did it pretty well. Like, we survived fairly simply, but it's an introductory.
It's an introductory scenario.
They don't want to scare you off
and they're like,
too quick.
Well, some of the battle reports are like, oh, we died.
Got crushed, Well, and remember, I saw where we could have gotten crushed.
Yes.
But we happened to react well, and our dice were in our
we killed a lot of aliens quite easily.
But we did play that. We're actually going to play this again soon. So Aliens was one. Really liked that game.
Yeah, Aliens.
Really liked that.
Gloomhaven. I had my Marvel United Kickstarter.
Is that a war game?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was going to make a case for it, but it's not.
It doesn't matter. It's a game.
Yeah, this is from Simon, and I backed the Kickstarter last year, and it delivered just now. And I backed it so I could play it with my kid.
Yeah.
As because he's 7, he really likes playing board games, and I've got Marvel Legendary, which is a lot of reading.
It's a great game, but I'm not sure it's made for kids. This has miniatures, right?
Yeah, this has miniatures, and a lot of it is symbology, and the artwork's really popping, and we played it, and he loved it. And
so
he was begging me to play more of it, so we played a couple of the...
So can I tell you that he kind of gave me an AAR of your battle with the Red Skull.
Oh, nice.
He didn't go into great detail, but I could garner from his words what he was talking about.
Could you garner what the outcome was?
You lost.
Very badly.
Yeah, he said the Red Skull killed us.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, Red Skull's a tough guy.
Yeah.
He's not a wimp.
But that's the introductory one that's supposed to be easy. We recommend starting with Red Skull. And he, like, wiped us.
Yeah.
And then we played... Because we played that, and then there's a trillion expansions. And we played against... we played the Guardians of the Galaxy one.
Ooh.
So he was Rocket, and I was Groot, and we played against Ronan.
And Ronan the Defiler.
Yes, and
what he's called?
we bounced that guy and won that one, which
nice.
was like, whew.
Did you do a dance off with him?
Yeah,
that's how you kicked his butt.
It was awesome. But so yeah, this is like a for fun game. I've been playing this month and play it with my kid because he really likes it. And I get to paint all the cool miniatures.
Well, and the only problem I have with that game is it looks too kidified for me.
It kind of, it's not a complicated game in any way.
I just wish they would have made a really cool miniature game based on the Marvel world anyway.
Yeah, it's called Crisis Protocol.
I know.
Got it over there.
I know.
I just haven't painted that one yet.
So anyway, that's what you played. I also played In Magnificent Style, which is brand new from Worthington Publishing, came out in February.
Yes.
This is Herman Luttman's design. It's a deluxeified edition of the 2012 Victory Point games, in the red pizza box and the sooty campfire counters, which I
so good.
Love those. It's kind of addictive. Oof. But this is deluxeified. He's changed it from a chit pull mechanic to cards.
Okay.
So it plays a little quicker. The cards are really cool. They're kind of dual-sided cards, top and bottom. Solo game on Pickett's Charge. So I played this like 5 times and won twice and really crushed it one of those 2 times. I just crushed it.
But then lost to the other 3.
Oh, my first one I scored like 35 points, which is atrocious.
Okay.
I had 4 or 5 brigades that didn't even make it.
Oh.
Like they were killed before they hit the Emmitsburg Road, which is like halfway up the map.
Yikes.
So, but very cool game. I actually wrote an initial impressions post on this for the blog that's coming out the first week of March. So look for that. It's very simple. I'm going to start doing like a quicker... Everybody complains that my stuff's just too long. They don't really complain, but whatever. I've had people tell me that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit 3 or 4 points, and that's it. Or I'm going to tell you what I liked.
You just write it all, and then just put, at the beginning, put a TLDR, too long didn't read.
Yeah, right.
And just put like 2 bullet points. Game was good.
Yeah.
If you like ACW solo, buy this.
Yeah. So anyway, introductory first impressions coming out on that. So that's kind of what we played. It's pitiful. I know it's pitiful.
There was something else we played, but I don't remember.
Saladin.
That's right. We played Saladin.
That. Yeah. Which was we did a preview
excellent little game.
Well, it was for a Kickstarter preview.
Yes.
We had a prototype copy, which is a really nice prototype copy.
Yes. That was.
We played it. It's a very simplified formation style game where you've got limited choices. You don't have 14 different choices with the same formation.
Right.
But there's some really cool mechanics about how you use it.
Yes.
Use their abilities, and then there's some abilities that the other side has to foil those. So it really boils down to I'm trying to make you use that formation before I attack you so you can't stop me.
Yeah. So
it's an interesting thing that way. You have orders, and it's like an economy. You can lose some of those orders from
it's so
the
fun.
dice. Yeah, we really enjoyed that. It's on Kickstarter. I think it's done, I want to say 25,000.
Yeah, so it's already funded. It funded at like 8,000.
And it's got like 2 weeks left. Okay. So check it out. But that was another one we played.
Yes.
So that's it.
Wow, that was it. Okay.
That's it.
So, I know we had grandiose plans at the beginning of March of what we were going to play, and totally biffed it. However, this month, different story.
Do we dare say this? Do we say that we're going to play this stuff?
Well, it's going to...
Because then it holds us accountable, and we look like a bunch of morons.
But I'd rather be held accountable than just say... Because then if I say, oh, we're going to play this and this, and then we don't play it, I'm like, I just feel like a schlub. Right?
Well,
at least I put it out there, and it's like, yeah, you put it out there, at least I deserve to feel like a schlub.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
All right, well, let's do it.
Well, we have some, what's the, hey, I'm having a moment.
Hey,
When you have plans, and they are...
Are we asking a vocabulary word?
Yes.
Okay.
We have plans that are set in stone. My goodness, I could only think of the German, and I sound like an idiot.
When we have solid plans that we've made reservations for.
Yes, and I want to use the word fest. We have, which is not a real word. That is a German word.
Contraction, just...
No, it's like if something's fest, it's like set in stone.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Inevitable.
Yes. It is.
Yes.
It's like a solid... I hate myself for doing that.
You're not even that old. How old are you again? Yeah.
I don't know.
You're in trouble.
I genuinely don't know.
I'm 48 and I can remember words.
We've got some plans.
Yes.
That we're meeting up with some people.
After we get our our flu shots.
Very safe flu shots.
Whatever they're called.
Vaccines.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
See, I'm now looking for a word.
Yeah.
Our vaccinations for COVID.
I'm getting vaccinated this week.
And I'm the following week.
At the end of the month, we've got some plans to get together with a couple people and play some big war games.
Yeah, I'm taking off work
excited.
We're both taking off work on Friday. We're traveling over there and we're going to play.
And by big war games, what do I mean, Grant?
Well, you mean big size-wise and box dimensions, and you also mean length of play. So War Room, it's ridiculous. You're not moving slow because you're wanting to. It's because it's so heavy.
We're going to play this.
I can't even be seen.
I can't even... this is what we're playing.
You want me to help you hold this up?
Can you hear us? This is what I'm playing.
It's kind of blocking the video.
It's an absolute ton.
And there's 2 boxes.
Yeah, I got the jumbo expansion. Look, this is a freaking bazooka.
Yeah.
So we're going to play that.
And it's so cool.
And we're going to play it 6-player.
It's so fun. We haven't played it.
But I'm more excited.
I've watched some videos. I've read some stuff on it. It just looks fun.
Just like a fun game.
Just looks fun.
That is huge. So
I mean, you've got commander sticks for gosh sakes.
I know.
We've got commander sticks and a top-down view of the world.
It's going to be amazing.
I don't know. I'm just so excited.
I'm like expectations here.
Mine are like,
and I really hope that they're met. They probably won't be, but I hope they are. It'll be fun regardless of what happens.
No matter what happens, it will be fun. Yes. The guys that we're playing with, we've played with them before. Yep. We've had a great time. I'm looking forward to another great time. And this time, I have no other plan that I have to leave early on Saturday, which was a bummer. My daughter's had a birthday, and I had to do that.
It cut a game short,
It kind of, I got to be a dad. I'm a dad, too.
Yeah.
So anyway, War Room is one we're playing.
War Room's big one we can play.
We also, while you get the next one, we played tonight, which is, we're shooting this on April the 2nd.
Yes.
We played Atlantic Chase.
Yes, we did.
We did an introductory video. We're now going to do a follow-up play. Yes. We're going to probably try to do one of the bigger scenarios or a couple of the bigger scenarios.
Yes.
And then do a review of that. So Atlantic Chase.
Atlantic Chase, we'll definitely play that.
GMT Games. And the other game we're going to try at in our friends.
Yes, as we're going to play Virgin Queen.
Is also a big game.
Yes. I've played Here I Stand. We've played it that 2-player. We played it 4-player. I've played online in a big 6-player on Vassal, and I'm playing in the current one run by Cleo on Twitter.
Yeah. I've played Here I Stand only twice.
Yes.
Haven't played Virgin Queen, so I'm really looking forward. Yeah,
this is the more meaty follow-up.
Okay, and I've heard it's not as good.
Interesting.
Is what I've heard.
Interesting.
And I guess what I'm saying is I think people have told me they just love Here I Stand so much.
Well, Here I Stand is so good.
It's so good.
One of my favorite games of all time.
Yes, I agree.
Love it. Love the time period. Love the game itself. This apparently is a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
Like they add in like different like artists and scientists and artisans.
Okay, so there's more Renaissance style.
Yeah, that you're vying for control over for prestige. There's just more layers of bits and pieces in it as well. So it's got more stuff in it, which I don't know if that's what turns people off. It's a little bit even more complicated.
Well, it looks like it's still got the exploration concept, right?
Yeah,
you know what this is?
I think it's different though because you've already explored those things in the previous tile.
And here you got an Ottoman inset map. I need to do reading up on this because I want to make sure I'm prepared. So I don't want to embarrass myself.
Correct these rules. Also, just to help you play. But yeah, that's another big one that we're going to play this month as well.
Did we buy this from someone we know?
Yes.
Okay.
I
I can't remember who it was either.
No, I should have looked it up before.
But they contacted us and they were like, hey, I have a copy to sell.
I put feelers out and was like, does anyone have this? Because it's out of print
Kevin
and it's
Bertrand?
a fortune. No.
The Four Circle?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway,
Yes.
we got this copy. We bought it, I think, right?
Yep.
Didn't we pay him?
Yes, we did.
Whatever, $70, $80. I don't remember what it was.
It was more than that.
$100. But yeah, card-driven game, Wars of Religion, like 59 to 1597 or 98.
Yeah. So, and we'll get in a big 6-player game of that as well.
Oh, so excited.
Again,
it's going to be all day.
And we'll do reviews of that and War Room as well.
We are definitely doing reviews. And we've talked about potentially doing some quick ARs or writing some things out and then doing a video afterwards. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest, we've talked about it. I don't know how often War Room's going to hit the table.
Yes.
It's so big and you need so many players.
It's one of those event games, right?
Yeah.
You do it once a year because it's like, we got a bunch of people together and we got all day, let's play it.
So we definitely want to get some video content so that we...
Yeah, I don't know how much is out there on it.
Honestly. Yeah, to document it. So, and I think we got this as it's a first edition copy.
Yes, because they're doing a second printing.
Do you know when that is?
Later this year. It's in 2021 sometime.
Okay.
I don't know.
Hopefully we'll get this all up before then, and they can use that in the Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, I hope so.
Cool.
That'll be awesome.
So yeah, I'm excited. And then we've talked about while we're there, we're going to be there, 3 days?
Yeah.
3.5 days. I think Cthulhu Wars is another one we've talked about playing.
Conquest of Empire.
Conquest of Empire, which is the Milton Bradley
that old Roman
Game
Empire
Master
game.
series, but with some new
House
rules. There was one other game that we talked about. We're taking.
I might take Apocalypse Road.
Yes, from GMT, the follow-up to
it's Thunder Alley
with guns. Yeah.
Gunder Alley.
So
why didn't they call it Gunder Alley?
I don't know.
I'm a genius.
That would be great marketing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. We're leaving, I think, on a Thursday late afternoon.
Yep.
Staying in a hotel Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Coming home probably Sunday afternoon, early evening. I think we're going to have 3 days of gaming. It's going to be
we'll
glorious.
get in some big games. And then
we're going to be safe, right? Even though we're vaccinated.
Sure, yeah.
We're going to wear our... we're going to try to be... I'm a clean freak anyway. I've used so much hand sanitizer that... I think I actually took out stock in the companies that make it, but...
Well, I should have done.
Yeah, really looking forward to that weekend. That's going to be great. So other than that, we're going to do Atlantic Chase.
And then the other one we've talked about doing is 1944 Battle of the Bulge from Worthington.
Yep.
Which is a single mapper, reasonably low counter density, one-sitting Bulge game.
It's Battle of the Bulge, and it's like a 3-hour game.
Yeah, it says victory within 2 hours, right?
So 3 hours for us.
But Worthington's usually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Of all the game
2 to
companies,
3 hours.
They're the ones that I trust their hours.
Yeah.
Because every time we play one of their games, I look and I'm like,
oh, yeah, 2 hours. I think we did Europe... what was that game we played?
Struggle for Europe?
Struggle for Europe. 2 hours. I think it took right at 2 hours for us to play that. Yeah. And that's what it said.
So if I would be not surprised if it was just the 2 hours. But if it's more, I also wouldn't be surprised because that's us and we're very thinky and fairly slow.
So we just received from GMT, we received Dominant Species Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to play that.
Yes.
We're probably going to get our old group back together because it's a 4-player game.
Yep.
So me, you, Matt, not Matt, I'm sorry, Matt moved to Minnesota.
Yeah, it'd be Tim and Josh.
Probably going to try to get that maybe near the end of the month. I don't know that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be...
Yeah.
But we just got that. We just got Commands and Colors Samurai Battles. Oh. Oof. I haven't unboxed it yet. I'm going to sticker it. So excited about that one.
Just remember, when you're sticker with the wood grain.
I'm going to go against that just to tick you off.
That's fine. As long as they're all against the wood grain. You just got to do it one way or the other.
Consistency. And then what?
Sidebar. I made a joke about that on YouTube.
And people were like...
Well, because I think I said, someone was like, someone commented on stickering. No, it was an unboxing video. And I said, well, make sure to sticker the one way or the other. And
does it help them stay on or something?
So I was like, oh no, like, are they going to fall off if I don't sticker them right? And I had to clarify, I'm like, no, I was just joking, because
Yeah.
I'm a little bit obsessive about that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I'm so glad I didn't, like, totally... They were afraid they'd, like, missed something where, like...
Yeah.
They,
That they
you know,
missed a rule.
Special
Put it on
blocks.
this
I'm like,
way.
no,
Yeah.
I'm just a nut.
Yeah.
And I think about things
Well,
too much.
I have done so many of those CNC games. I've got a system. I literally put like 5 stickers on one hand, and then I have a way of doing them, and I can do them pretty quick. I don't always worry about the grain, though. Sorry.
See, I pick them because the way... You don't care about this.
Yeah.
But I pick them up because they do, like, 2 next to each other. 2, 2, 2, 2,
Yes,
2.
yep.
So I pick up 2, split it, done. 2,
Yeah.
2, 2, 2. And because you can pick up 2 on one finger and then just do it,
Yeah.
and then that's how I do it.
It's fun.
Lots of dupes.
We need to patent those, but those ways, those methods.
Yeah, I need to write it down and get a diagram together
Yeah.
and send it to the U.S. Patent Office, huh?
Yeah, you do. Why don't we do that? While I move on and talk about the next game. The other game we got is Bayonets and Tomahawks.
I am so desperate to play that
from
game.
GMT Games. Really looking forward to that.
It looks excellent.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like the map is gorgeous and the counters are so cool.
And I love the topic as well.
Yeah, I mean, French and Indian War, who doesn't enjoy that? We've played many games on it and we've enjoyed every one of them.
It's such an interesting conflict.
Yeah.
That so asymmetrical. From a completely different time period than a lot of asymmetrical games are made from.
Yeah.
And just, and the production quality looks top notch.
It does. So we are not going to get all those games played in April. So
No.
it'll probably be a couple in April and a couple in May. But I'm really looking forward to. We also got Empire at Sunrise from Hollandspiel that we want to crack out.
I'm desperate to play that too.
We've already got a good stock of 2021 war games that are going on.
All right, and we're going to play all these really old ones.
We need to jump on them so that we can kind of get ahead this year. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of our gaming plans.
Yes.
I think that's what we're going to try to
But
do.
for sure, Atlantic Chase, War Room, and Virgin
Queen.
Queen, those 3 will definitely get played.
99.9% sure they will get played.
Yeah, I mean, something crazy would have
Yeah.
to happen to stop that from being the
Jury
case.
duty? Anyone?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
So,
Maybe I should have said that.
no, you've jinxed it now.
Yeah. So what else did we do this in the month of March? We did a couple interesting things that we don't do that often.
What did
You know
we
what
do?
I'm talking about?
No.
Our appearances.
Oh, yes.
Well-
sorry.
Your one appearance.
Yes. So, I was able, whilst Grant was recovering, unfortunately.
And the reason I couldn't join is I really couldn't sit up for more than 5
Yeah.
minutes. So I could have joined, but I've been relaxing in my
we'd have just been
recliner.
seeing your chin the whole time.
Well, and frankly, I've had some painkillers in me, so I might have said some
maybe that would have been amazing.
interesting
That would have
things.
been must-watch TV.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
So yeah, I was. We were invited onto Aardwolf's channel.
Counter clipping, is that what he calls it?
No, so it was in lieu of his counter clipping. Normally, when he does his counter clipping, he just sits there doing a chat on his own. This was.
I've watched several of those. They're very interesting.
Yeah.
I like Aardwolf.
He's always got something
He's a cool
interesting
dude.
to talk about.
Yeah.
Typically,
If you don't know who Aardwolf is, it's Gary. He has a great YouTube channel.
yes, Aardwolf's Lair.
Yeah, Aardwolf's Lair. You need to check stuff out.
Yeah.
He's a real hardcore war gamer. I mean, he's played some really big war games.
Yeah, he's big into OCS
Yep.
and ASL. And he has an OCS club, and they play like every week.
Yeah.
And they have these ongoing setup games. So if he knows a lot about monster games, of
Yep.
which I feel like I'm clueless.
Well, we've played a couple, but I'm not sure we've really played what I would classify full-on monster games.
No, that's not.
Mini
I don't
monsters
have
is what I.
space and time for that.
Well, yeah, I wish we did. But anyway, you appeared on his show.
Yes, I
You
was
were on there for like 2 hours.
Yeah, it was
Because I watched.
It was like a round table. It was me, and it was Mo from Mo's Gaming Table.
We love Mo. Mo's a good dude.
Such a good dude. And then Stuka Joe was on as well.
Stuka Joe, there's not many better people than
He
Stuka
has the
Joe.
gold standard of war
Yeah,
games.
he's amazing.
So
I watch his stuff, and I just cringe when I watch our stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's just
I don't know
unreal.
how people stick through our videos.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half of us rambling about a game that really we could wrap up in 10 minutes, and I don't know how we do it.
We often talk about that. We could have talked about that in 10, 15 minutes, but 45 minutes later. Anyway, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
So yeah, I was on there for 2 hours, and we were just talking about, because all of us were like content creators. We talked about making wargame videos, the kind of videos that we like, or how to get into that, with some recommendations of audio, video, visual stuff.
Yeah, you guys did like some good technical stuff as well as just some interesting discussion.
Yeah, and it was fascinating because each one of us talks about very different games typically, and so it was fascinating to just like get heads together about, because I know what games we play.
Yeah,
and Gary plays very different games.
Yep.
And Mo has played so many war games.
Yeah,
because he's been wargaming since he was a kid.
He's an old dude too.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's an old dude. But I say that, and I'm old, but he's old.
So he has experience with games I've never even heard of.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Because he's played all the old Avalon Hill games from back in the day. Like, so many of them.
And we've played one or two of those.
Yeah, I just haven't played a lot of that stuff. And then Stuka Joe is...
Stuka Joe.
He's playing games from designers I've never even heard of. Because he's got all of his European contacts and his video masterclasses and how he makes stuff. And just his... You gotta check that video out.
Did he put it up on his channel yet?
Not yet,
because I want to repost that on our blog.
Oh my gosh! Once that comes out as a VOD, you gotta watch it. If only so that you can see Stuka Joe's game
library.
But it's
I don't know that libraries
so
are good.
Nice and clean.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing. Just you're like
he makes our bunker look like.
Yeah, I've got
trash.
got games piled up on top of my shelves, and I just
he's got floor to ceiling.
But it's so neat and tidy.
Yeah, but he's got floor to ceiling shelves. Yeah, they're really cool.
It's wild.
Got a great table right in the middle. There were leather chairs. I mean, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Can we go to Puerto Rico and? Isn't that where he lives?
He's in Mexico. I don't know if that's where he lives.
Can we go?
Yes.
Can we go one time and just play with him?
I'm just going to invite myself over to Stuka Joe's.
That would be amazing.
But that was a blast. I had a real fun time doing that. It was on like was it a Monday night or Sunday night? Monday
no,
night?
It was a weeknight. It was like a Monday night.
And that was very fun and something that I haven't done before, and it was a blast. I had a really good time with that.
I had a good time watching. I probably only remember watching about 30 to 40 minutes, but I remember going back to it fairly often. So it kept my attention even though I was drugged up a little bit and in pain.
That's what's important.
Yeah. So I missed being there. I felt bad.
But the other thing that we did was it just last week?
Yeah, it was just this past Sunday. Had a blast doing that, by the way, always.
We had, and you haven't seen it yet, it's upcoming.
Yeah.
We did a Zoom Skype interview with Mark Herman. And we basically...
The Mark Herman.
Well,
I mean...
Capital H, capital M.
Yeah. Mark Herman is just, I don't know. He's just so cool. He's just such a cool dude. I just love him.
Grant texted me, he was like, hey, do you think we can do like a Skype interview with Mark Herman? I'm like, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
Let me clear my calendar.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than that.
Well, and it was funny, because I contacted him, because I'm interested in Rebel Fury, which is a game that he has on the P500 at GMT. There's nothing on that game page. I mean, there's like a little introductory paragraph and a couple of... there's just nothing there, and I want to know more about it.
Right.
So I reached out to him, and he didn't want to do a written interview with me. Because he's busy. The guy's busy.
Yes.
I understand that. They're all busy, but he's really busy. So he declined. He was like, well, we could do a video. And I'm like, hell yeah, we're going to do a video.
Yes, we did.
So I texted you. You said, yeah. And we set it up. And we did it for 2 hours.
1 hour.
1 hour.
So yes, that is coming up. It'll be an hour with Mark Herman special.
I mean, what's not to like about that?
Exactly.
We talked about everything under the sun.
But mostly his war games.
Well, we talked about Rebel Fury. We talked a little bit about Empire of the Sun and how it compares to Pacific War. And
yeah, because he's working on the redo of Pacific War.
We talked a lot about Pacific War and What else did we talk about? Ooh, we talked about one of his new games upcoming.
Don't say it, because they gotta watch. You gotta watch.
Oh my gosh. That game sounds so cool.
Yeah. He's
not to mention he's got other games in the cooker, right?
Yeah.
He's got another collaboration with Jeff Engelstein.
Yep.
Coming up. I'm not going to say anymore.
You
can get it on the video, but yeah, watch that. It's worth it.
Yes.
It's worth it.
So we did a couple bits and pieces like that I don't know, we don't do a lot of. Yeah. So there was some nice things that we did this month.
Well, we did some of those during the lockdown, right? We did Greg Smith, we did David Thompson. I think we had Jason Matthews lined up, and I want to say I had something that came up and we had to cancel, but
yeah,
I feel like we need to get a few more of those. And I think every time we do them, we're like, oh, we got to do this next time. And then we forget because we don't do them again for 9 months.
Well, yeah.
Like we talked about, oh, we got to make sure to get all our faces on the camera at the same time. And it didn't, but it doesn't matter. We're trying to hear Mark, it doesn't matter about us. But anyway.
Yes.
Check that out.
Yes. So.
Here comes the ramble.
No. Before we get to the ramble, let's talk about war games on Kickstarter.
Oh yeah. I forgot we were gonna talk about that.
Yes, because we got some.
This is my part that I was supposed to.
Yeah, some big things coming up.
Okay, so as you know, the written blog is a big part of what we do. I really handle the written blog. I enjoy doing it. It allows me to relax. Most of what I do on it anymore, frankly, are the designer interviews. And then some of our big lists. I do some strategy stuff, but designer interviews and then Kickstarter interviews is what I like to do. They're just fun.
Yep.
One, it gets to expose those games to me, and then I'm able to help you guys see those. So in March, because this is a summary of March.
There's a lot, huh?
There was a lot. I did 8. And I'm just going to cover the ones that are really new. Mark Figueres, Ambon, Burning Sun, and Little Seagulls from Snafu Store.
What's that about?
It's the island of Ambon. You're the Japanese invading.
Okay.
And it's defended by Australian troops.
Okay.
They're called the Seagull Division.
Okay.
So that's where the Little Seagulls. Not a Kickstarter, but it's a brand new game. Very cool. Cool guy to talk to, and I shared that with you. That was early in the month. William Byrne, he's a developer for Into the Woods, Battle of Shiloh from GMT Games.
Yep.
Great interview. That interview got like 2,000 views. I mean, people just ate it up. Steve Carey, Malta Besieged. That's on Kickstarter now.
Yes.
It's funded.
That's been on for a while, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it only has 4 or 5 days left.
Okay.
Give or take 3 or 4 days
That
now.
may be finished by the time this comes out.
Dennis Savage, Saladin.
Yep.
Whatever you want to call it. That's already posted, and that one's nearing the end. It's been funded. I did Christoph Biernacki, Across the Bug River, which is an East Front game from our friends at VUCA Simulations. So really looks good. Great looking East Front game. I'm really looking forward to it. Stefan Brachette, Border States, which is also from Shakos.
So
it's the dual pack.
So their Kickstarter is Border States and Saladin.
Yes, together.
It's in the same. You don't have to get both of them.
Each of them are like $35.
But it's in the same campaign.
Yeah. So. And we did not play Border States. No. Border States is an ACW abstract game where you're trying to influence the 5 border states historically.
Okay.
Kentucky, Missouri, Virginia, Maryland, and I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on the 5th one. But those were kind of the interviews that I did, and most of those were Kickstarters. So now coming up in April, which this is kind of a preview.
Yeah, to look forward to.
I have a Dawn's Early Light interview coming up with David McDonough. We played that. I've had that one for a long time. I just need to get it up. Herman Luttman's new A Most Fearful Sacrifice comes on April the 6th from Flying Pig Games.
That's his big 3 days of Gettysburg game.
3 days of Gettysburg using blind sword system not modified into what's called the Black Swan system.
Okay.
It's made for larger engagements to make it more playable.
Right.
A little faster. Tanto Monta, which is the prequel to Here I Stand. I have an interview coming up with Carlos Diaz Navarez.
I'm very interested to see how that is.
It looks awesome. I'm going to tell you, it looks awesome. Sorry.
Yeah.
What are some of the other ones I have? Dang it. Now I've lost it. But I've got several others. Hugh O'Donnell, The Trouble, Shallow War in Northern Ireland, is supposed to come out on Kickstarter this month, April.
Really? Okay.
From Compass. It'll probably change, because I've heard nothing about it.
Interesting.
But that's an interview I have coming up. Couple of others, sorry. Crusade and Revolution from Compass Games just kicked off a couple of days ago.
Nice.
I have an interview with David Gomes Roloso.
Okay.
Coming out in April. And then Sergio Schiavi, who is the maker of From Salerno to Rome.
Which was very good.
And Radetzky's March, both Kickstarters with his company. Give Us Victories, which is a look at Chancellorsville and that campaign.
Interesting.
So those are kind of the upcoming Kickstarters that I know about, and I have interviews coming up. And I know Worthington is doing in April a big Kickstarter second edition of 1759 Siege of Quebec, along with 2 new games in that series. Siege of Syracuse by Dan Forney, who did this 1944 Battle of the Bulge.
Okay.
So same designer. And then the other one is Maurice Suckling, who did Chancellorsville and Freeman's Farm. He is doing... I'm drawing a blank. Crap. I want to say Siege of Malta. Like 1595.
Okay.
So not the Siege of Malta during World War II.
Yeah.
Siege of Malta like in 1590s.
Right.
So those are coming up. So look out for those. I'll be doing interviews on those, all 3, and posting them. So it's a big month. March and April are big months for Kickstarters. Big months.
I'm interested to see how those Siege games are, because Siege of Quebec was fun, but
it's just basic.
But Worthington always, they take an extra step. It's kind of what they did with Freeman's Farm to Chancellorsville.
Yep.
Those games take a step forward and
include
and
new
frankly
something
much better for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm excited to see how much they can build on Siege of Quebec and kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Get even more out of that system.
So yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming up on the written blog. If you don't know about the written blog because you only watch our videos, it's thePlayersaid.com.
Yep.
It take you 15 minutes to read those interviews. They're about 15, 20 questions. I also backed John Company, 2nd edition, from Whirligig Games, Cole Whirly. It is a look at the East India Company and kind of the families that controlled that, and it's like a negotiation, bartering game. Very interested in it.
Yeah, you're trying to carve up the riches.
Yeah.
And loot India, basically.
Yeah.
For control and prestige and money, which I'm like...
And I know those kind of topics in games aren't necessarily in vogue right now, but this, I'm telling you, the game is so fascinating.
If you read the Kickstarter, they got a whole section about it.
And they talk about it.
It's that style of game, regardless of the topic, for me, where we're negotiating...
fantastic.
Table talk to play out something on a table, but we're all backstabbing each other.
Yeah.
Like everyone has a plan to screw everyone over.
Yep.
One of my favorite types of games.
Well, so think of some games that Westphalia from Amabel Russell with Hollenspiel. Such a great game. I had no idea what I was doing.
Is amazing.
And I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a blast.
But so I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew that everyone was trying to screw me over.
It was total negotiation.
And that feeling is so fun, because it's so stressful. You're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I know I have to give you something to get you to do this.
Or to give me something.
But how much do I give you? Because we are both trying to win that exchange and screw the other person over. And so you end up, but like if you don't come to a deal, then this person over here is just going to sweep it. And so
that's a fascinating game.
Just love that kind of stuff.
And that's a game you can only play with 6 players. So it's not a game you're going to get to the table often. You're going to have to go to a convention or get 6 brave souls that are willing to sit there.
If you've got a dedicated group, you can play that, right?
So what other games are like that? I was trying to think, Ponzi Scheme's a little bit like that.
Ponzi Scheme is hilarious.
It's not quite the same, but there's some negotiation that goes on in that.
Yeah, but it's the element of, I'm trying to lowball you enough.
Yeah.
Where I get
give
a good
me a bunch of money
and don't screw me over by just doubling it, and I get hosed because you take my stuff.
That's one of those games that I think of often when we talk about negotiation. I just love those kind of games. So anyway,
even things like Here I Stand, where there's like full-blown
You're trying to trade back. Yeah.
Like,
Let me take Scotland and don't bother me.
Like, we're going to go into another room. We're going to talk about something, make an alliance, and everyone knows that we're about to go and screw them over. So they're teaming up on us.
Yep,
whilst
they're trying to screw us over. Yep.
So we've got to make this as strong as possible.
Yep. Those games are great.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're great.
So yeah, I'd heard of, like, I love PAX Premier Second Edition.
Oh,
I love Root. They put out great games, and so a lot of people were like, "Oh man, have you played John Company?
Yeah,
have you played John Company?
Yeah.
You'd really like John Company." And I'm like, I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, boom, there's going to be a second edition coming out. I'm like,
I jumped on it right away.
We'll wait for that.
The moment I saw it,
sweet.
I booked it, and then I told you because I knew you would get it, so I wanted it.
Yeah, and it looks amazing. The production value looks like it's great. It's perfectly in line with PAX Premier. With
probably the best $100 I think I'm probably going to spend this year.
It looks awesome. So I'm very.
And I don't back that many Kickstarters. I'm pretty choosy.
Do they have an idea of when that's going to fulfill?
March of 22, so another year.
Okay, so
yeah.
Well, it'll be worth it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a look at the Kickstarters. That's a look at some of the things we've done, like in the last month, right?
Yes.
So what was the other thing we were going to talk about?
We were going to talk about the topic, which was
the topic.
The main body of this, he says, after an hour.
I don't know why you guys continue to watch. So what is the topic again?
The topic this week, and it was...
This month.
Yeah, not this month. Oh, this week. Oh,
yeah.
We're not doing this every week. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
It was suggested by one of our patrons. I believe it was Amelia.
Okay.
I think. I can't remember. I should have written it down. I don't know why I don't. And we talk about tips and tricks and tactics for learning new games and new game systems. With an eye to doing that on your own as well. Because, I don't know, when you sit down with another person, it's easier to kind of bounce ideas off each other. When you're on your own, that can be a little bit harder.
Yeah, definitely, that's one of the things about solo gaming that I don't like. I like to be able to discuss the rules and make sure I understand exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, so
or vice versa. When you have a problem, it's like, yeah, here's what it is, and
we can either reassure each other, yes, we've interpreted that correctly, or this doesn't feel right. It's easier to bounce those off another person. If we're doing it solo, it's easier to go wrong.
Yep.
Solo gaming, the solo police ain't coming around.
Well,
so don't worry about
I think that's one thing we talk about a lot. Who cares? If you mess something up, just keep playing. You'll have a good time, and ultimately, that's what it's about.
It's one of those things. Has anyone ever played Fields of Fire correctly?
No.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Because no one's ever played it with anyone, so no one's there to verify it. Right? So,
and there's no police going around verifying.
So just
checking.
don't. A part of it is don't stress yourself out over solo games or learning a game solo. Because if you mess it up as a solitaire game, who cares? As long as you had a good time, that's already matters.
Yep.
Now, for learning games and new systems, there's a few different kind of ways that you can approach it. And the most important thing to remember is you've got to figure out the way that works for you.
Yeah, because everybody's different.
Yes. And
you like to read the rules first. I don't. I think that's a big difference between you and I. I'd rather play and learn from my mistakes than... But go ahead.
Yeah. So,
but it's different. Everybody's different.
Absolutely. There are different learning styles, and anyone in academia will tell you that kind of stuff, where some people learn visually, some people can just read something, some people are kinesthetic and want to
have to
play with stuff.
Yeah.
And that translates completely to learning anything. And in this instance, we're talking about war game rules, or just any board game rules, frankly. So, I'm a person where I will give the rule book. Generally speaking, I'll read the rule book, and some rule books it'll be a bit more cursory, and others it'll be much more in depth. It just that kind of depends on.
Well, if you're familiar with the system, or familiar with the concepts, like we talked about with a hex encounter war game with a CRT and odds based, and you're going to kind of know those concepts. You don't necessarily need to read each and every point. Just get the general feel, and then
or I can read it very quickly. So, for example, Rostov 41. The series rules of that game were 11 pages.
Yeah.
And most of the core concepts are very standard war games.
Yeah.
So I was basically speed read that out loud whilst we had it.
While we were setting it up.
Yeah. And we both knew how to play it and played it immediately, right?
Yeah.
So I've got experience, which helps. And that is not a particularly complicated system. Conversely, something like Empire of the Sun, which was one of the first ever war games we played, that was fun.
Yeah, which kills me that was one of the first big war games that we played.
No idea what we were doing.
Well, we did that, and then we did Wilderness War and
just
Churchill, and I'm like, what are we doing?
Some pretty big brain burners.
Yeah.
Like Empire of the Sun was a rule book that I read front to back.
Yeah, it was like 65 pages.
Every single word.
Yeah.
And then I very slowly taught it to you when you came around. Because that game had a lot of new things in, partly because of my experience, partly because there's just some new ways to do things in that game that we don't have in other games. And so that's one where I like to read that quite in depth, so I'm confident teaching it, and then we're going to kind of play it out on the board.
Yeah.
That's something that I do with systems that are quite different than this. I just said doo-doo. It happened.
Sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
But typically, I'm a read the rule books once.
Yeah.
Then we kind of learn as we play.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, are someone who's more like...
I'm that kinesthetic.
Get it out.
Yeah, move it, set it up, player. So for instance, way back, 6 years ago, I bought my first coin game, Liberty or Death. I remember looking at that and going, what the hell have I done? I didn't really know how I was going to get through it. And I remember seeing on Twitter, somebody said, do the tutorial. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
So what I did is I remember looking through every card just to get a feel for, I wasn't memorizing, but, they talk about this mechanic. So I kind of remembered, this is important and, blah, blah, blah. So I looked through those cards, I set it up, and I followed, point by point, that tutorial.
Yes.
Played the whole thing, took me an hour and a half, and then I finished the game by myself solo because it only takes you maybe two turns in to it. And then I was able to finish the game by myself, and that was difficult.
Right.
Because I had this guide the whole time, and then I dropped off the cliff, and I was all on my own.
Yeah, you know the rules, but you lose the strategy help that the guys...
Yes. So I did that, and I did the same thing with Fire in the Lake before we played it.
Yes.
And then I also did the same thing with a solo game, Comancheria. And Joel Toppin's rule books are fantastic. They have examples of play. Navajo Wars, the first one in that series, I have messed around with, but they have great walkthroughs. Use them. Just like we talked about earlier tonight when we did Atlantic Chase.
Yeah, so...
Using that is that's what it's made for.
We've got Atlantic Chase on the table right now, and their tutorial is what we played through tonight.
It's like 50 pages, right?
This is how you learn this game.
Yeah.
Like, I could have sat here and read the 50-page rules, and then we could have pushed some stuff around and kind of figured it out.
But we wouldn't have got the concepts and how they build on each other and work together.
Like, I could have done that. That is a valid way to do it.
Yeah.
But they print this tutorial for a reason.
Yeah.
And the reason is, this is the easiest way to do it. It gives you step-by-step. Read these 4 pages in the rules. Then
move this stuff around.
And you move this around for 5 minutes. Then you go on to the next one. Read these next 2 pages to build on what you've already read. Set this up. This is how that mechanic works. And then you go and you go and you go. And it means that all of this paper that's in this game reveals itself to you layer by layer, and you're building upon your previous knowledge, which compounds your memory, so you'll remember that stuff better as you learn, add. You're helping yourself to remember all those things, so that when you play the actual game, boom, you've got a really good memory of those things as well.
And I think that major concept is the building on each other.
Yep.
Tonight in that example, the first one was just about moving 3 or 4 trajectories. That was it. Then the next one added in something else. I'm not sure what it is.
It all adds in like a regroup action.
Yeah.
So how do you split your forces? How do you combine your forces? How do you get in reinforcements at the end of your trajectories, right?
Yeah. And then by that 3rd, 4th, 5th thing, we were We were doing naval searches and avoidances and
it's much more wide open.
Yeah. So it built and we were able to follow it. And I think, just like you mentioned, that it kind of ingrains that in your mind. It's not going to leave as easily because you've read, seen, moved around, and then even read again. So I would say those tutorials or playbooks, you should play through those 1 or 2 times.
And
period.
Most of them, I know for Coin, it's basically designed for you to push around yourself. It's solitaire stuff, right?
Yep.
This is also designed solitaire. This tutorial, it's like, you control this side, so you get to choose whatever you want to do.
And then roll a die for the other.
The opponent's got a bit more of a linear action, so they're going to roll a die and do one of 3 things, basically.
Yeah.
And you just follow that and you do it, and then you're trying to react to what's out there. So you can learn this solo real easy and then teach it to a friend. Or, like we did, we kind of sat here and did it together, so we both understand that. Also a valid way to do it. And I guess the cautionary tale that we have in our lives is Pericles. Pericles is a really awesome game that Mark Herman designed.
It's an incredible game.
In like 2016, I think.
But in 2016, we were such novice war game players that we totally botched that thing because we didn't do what?
Well, here's the thing, right? I love Churchill. We played Churchill quite a lot.
We thought,
oh, it's great. Next game in the Great Statesman series. This is going to be awesome. The tactical kind of resolution's a bit more involved and a bit more kind of combat and war. Like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And we set that thing up, and those rules are dense.
Yes.
And I had no idea what I was doing.
We played for 5 hours that first time, and I don't think we got through more than 2 or 3, maybe 4 turns.
Yeah.
And had no idea what we were doing.
No idea what I should do.
I was kicking your butt, and you were kicking my butt, because neither of us knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't know my ancient history all that well. Right?
Yeah.
Is it combat? With World War II, I can figure out what I need to do based on history. I know that. With the Peloponnesian War, I'm like, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really know what I was doing, and we're trying to learn this really dense game, and we put out a video and some tweets, and I was like, man, this one is pretty hard to learn. And Mark Herman said, did you play through the playbook tutorial?
No.
And I was like, I felt like such a moron. I was like, I'm just going to insta-ban you for saying that to me. Make me feel so bad. He wasn't being rude. He was genuinely asking. And I was like, well, no, but now you've said that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what I should have done.
That's what we should have done.
And so that was the first time where I was like, oh yeah, like, I'm a full-blown moron. Like, what were we thinking?
Well, and I even think we did that with Churchill. I remember, I told you this just earlier tonight. We set that game up, and I remember thinking, what the hell are we doing? Because you were not explaining to me well enough what we were doing.
Yeah, that was very early on.
I didn't know what questions to ask to better understand what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I think we finally got that. We've played that game 7 or 8 times, and we love it.
Yes.
But I think the concept of what we're trying to say is look over the rules, play the playbook.
Period. And most modern big games, especially ones that warrant it, have some kind of playbook or tutorial. Yes. And if it has one, I would recommend you always play through that. Because 100%. That will teach you basically, a good one will teach you every single rule.
Well, and it doesn't teach you necessarily strategy, though. No. That's the kicker.
Yeah.
So it's going to teach you the format and the mechanics, but it's not going to teach you what you should be doing. That's got to come through exploration and trial and error and losing and getting burned to the ground, etc.
The famous one of those in my collection is Peloponnesian War.
By Mark Herman.
Again, from Mark Herman.
Yeah.
Is I played through the playbook, and then they're like, and now it's up to you. And I was like, what do I do?
And I
have no idea what to do with that.
And you want to know that what's so interesting to me? There are games out there that there's 15,000 videos on.
Yep.
Right? A game like Peloponnesian War, how many videos are out there?
There's a few, and all they do is explain the rules. I have no idea what my strategies should be.
Because they don't know what they're doing. Right? And I'm not saying it to be rude.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the truth. And I think the concept there is none of us understand how to play war games that well.
or you can't know how to play everything.
No, you can't. You've just got to sometimes dive in and go through it.
History's too broad. Like,
yes.
If it's World War II, I pretty much know the outcomes.
Well,
and so I know what I should
what the
aim
objective
towards,
should be,
right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, for Ancients, I'm pretty clueless.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, here's this massive, wide open sandbox. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, mechanically, I'm like, this has got some interesting stuff in it, but I'm like,
Don't
no idea how to win it, though.
So I think what I was trying to drive at with that final comment, my explosion there, I think a lot of us use videos as a crutch.
Yes.
Honestly, we are asked how many times, you guys going to do a playthrough video?
Yeah.
You know what, guys? I don't know that we have time to do a playthrough video and then...
Playthroughs are very intensive.
Very intensive. Then play the game and then do it. We just don't have that kind of time.
And I have an infinite amount of respect for people who do. Because I know how much work goes into those.
Yes.
And it is an incredible amount of time.
Yes.
An incredible amount of work. And it's I don't know. There's so much post-production that goes into those things as well. Like, you watch an hour video on something, and it probably had 4 hours of editing at least. Yeah. And then there was the prep for that. Oh, there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
Now, videos, I think, whilst they could be a crutch, I think they're an incredible tool.
No, they are. I guess what I'm
saying.
Say. I guess what I'm saying though is too many of us we get intimidated.
Yeah.
And we're not going to actually dig into the rules and dig into the playbook. We want to be spoon-fed.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. We want to be spoon-fed.
Yeah, if it doesn't have a video, I'm not going to play
it. And I think that's one of the biggest travesties.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest, I've played so many awesome solo games that don't have frickin' videos. But guess what? I just sat down and I did it.
Yeah.
And I read through the rules. I made hundreds of mistakes. I mean, I'm thinking of a game like Agricola from Hollandspiel. Not an overly complex game, but you have no idea what you're doing. And then you just got to figure, so this happens when these guys are here, so I got to get those guys out of there.
Yeah.
And then I got to do this because I got to build this camp here, and I got to really lock this down. And then through 3 or 4 plays, you start to realize, this is what I got to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of games, especially for solitaire games, here's the thing. If it's 2-player, I'm probably going to read the rules. If it's solitaire, I'm probably going to set it up and just play it.
Just go through it.
I will never forget my first ever game of Phantom Fury by DVG. I'm like, this game is amazing. Phantom Leader, yes. Phantom Fury is a very different game.
Yeah. Phantom Leader.
Phantom Leader. I got out my planes, and you have this menu of, rockets and bombs you can put on them. I'm like, sweet. I'm gonna deck them all out. I got this mission target that I got in, and I took off, and not a single one came home. They all got shot down immediately because I was figuring the rules, right?
Sure.
I was flying at the wrong altitude for the AAA that was there. There were all these interceptors, and I had only air-to-ground weapons, didn't have any air-to-air weapons at all. But I didn't really know that. I didn't glean that from just reading the rules. Setting it up and playing some of those things is how you're gonna make mistakes, and it's okay, and you just learn from it, and you kind of those first playthroughs, you're just like, I'm just gonna push through and see what happens.
And how many times have I started over because now I understand why I was supposed to do that, or I really made a big mistake, and I need to go back and just redo it. So I don't want to make anyone feel bad. That's not my intent. Because I am an intimidated person when it comes to rules. You know this, right? How many times do I just hand the rule book over to you?
Every time.
Not every time, but most of the time. So I give your suggestions for when you read the rule books. You did an entire video on this, like an hour-long video a couple years ago.
Yeah, so
in your dapper tie.
I do have a video that's titled "On Reading Wargame Rules" or something like that. Something very pretentious.
That's what I thought when I read it. Oh.
Yeah. And because there's also a lot of different styles of rulebooks. Mm-hmm. I talked about some of the old Avalon Hill style rulebooks. Man, I still hate those.
Well, I tried to play
sure to read.
I tried to play our father-in-law's Mosby's Raiders game. I quit because the rules were so terrible.
Yes.
I could not understand it.
And
so I quit.
And I've got Ambush. The rules for Ambush are just the worst.
Pitiful.
I know everyone learned them back in the 80s and they were fine and serviceable, but rules writing and presentation has come on in the last 40 years. And what I would recommend for older games, go onto Board Game Geek. Invariably someone has rewritten the rules and put new play aids up.
The new play aids are huge aids sometimes. Print those suckers off.
Huge aids.
Yeah.
And people do that for new games even.
They do, for games that have been out for a couple of months.
There are new games that end up having quite sprawling rule books and the play aids could be better and so people make them. The community is really good if you're having a real struggle for something like Fields of Fire, for example, whose rule book is nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
There's just... there's so many rules.
There's a lot of
so many, and the way that it's written isn't particularly telegraphic, which is how I like my rules. But go onto Board Game Geek, go on the forums. There is an unconscionable amount of play aids, sequences of play, rewritten rule books, all this kind of stuff to help you get into games which have rule books which may not be great.
That have a steep learning curve. Yeah.
But the other aspect of reading rules is, in my opinion, do it, but you cannot expect to understand and remember all the rules.
Right.
You read it once, and then set up the game.
Yep.
And then start pushing the counters around. Right.
The other thing that I rely heavily on is the index.
Yeah.
Most of these rule books have a very good index.
If your game doesn't have an index,
then
you should be fired.
So all you got to do is, I'm doing combat. Oh, I can't remember how that works. Well, combat, page 17. Go to it, read it again. It's just going to require that. It's frankly, sometimes playing war games and complex games can be like work. You got to put the work in to get out the other end what you expect to get out of it.
Yes, and there are some people or some designers whose games I know what to expect. I know Jerry writes his rules in a very unique style. I know exactly how to approach his rule books and what to expect from them because he teaches incrementally through tutorials or scenarios. And he references his sections or pages by numbers all the time throughout the rules. Everything's... if you were to read the rule book from start to finish, it might be written in a kind of a weird order or some things might be odd. Because that's not how you're supposed to learn his rules.
Right.
You're supposed to learn the rules through the scenarios and through the tutorials. And you'll reference things in the order in which they come up in those, and that's how you're supposed to do it. So some rules are tailored for that kind of stuff, which I appreciate.
The other thing that I've done quite often is several of my rule books have been highlighted and things have been underlined or circled. Because there are a lot of points that it's like, man, you got to remember that.
Yeah, I've got a stack of Post-it notes.
Yep, I've got some of those too.
Even in reference books, I do that too. And a rules book is just a mini reference book.
Yeah,
you put in little tabs to remember. Hey, this is an important thing. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I need to remember this, so I put a little tab in there with an arrow saying, "Hey, remember this, you moron."
And I started doing that after we played Holland 44. If you remember about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe 2017. There's a very important exception to the rules for the Germans at the very beginning of the game. And you know what? I missed that.
Yep.
And we played, how many hours did we play that game?
All day.
10 hours, right? And I remember tweeting a picture of the bridge.
Yep.
The very northern bridge. And I hadn't gotten where I was really supposed to because I forgot a rule, and somebody made the comment, "You've already lost the game."
Yeah, because the bridge, Arnhem Bridge is 2 hexes, and you have to be on one side of it at least to have a chance. And if you don't play the first turn infiltration rules, you can't get there.
It's the infiltration rules and also understanding that the Germans that first turn are surprised and don't get a full movement.
Yeah, they move what?
Because you were the Germans and you bam, you were right on that bridge.
Right.
And it's so I highlighted that paragraph.
Yes.
Because I've played that game solo since, and it's I've started doing that. Even in my solo games, I'm highlight this part because this is really important. So don't be afraid. This is your rule book, right? Even if you have to sell the game,
the person who buys it's going to probably appreciate
it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the concept that I want to put in is don't use videos as a crutch. Use the indices. Try the playbook. Put the things on the table. Highlight. Take notes. It's a job. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Some of these games are like a job at the beginning.
Some of them feel like it, yeah.
But when you get it, man, they're so rewarding.
And a good rule book does not feel like work, is what I would say.
Right. And there's been quite a few rule books that I've like, ooh, that was great.
Yeah, I feel like some rule books, and the concepts that are going into rule books with like indices, with
examples,
tutorials, examples,
pictures,
how things are written.
Like once again, I mean, this is the rule book. And there's a huge page picture.
It might be slow progress, but the progress on making rulebooks better is there.
It's huge. Anyway.
But yeah.
And then player aids, I think player aids are very key. Like we said, BGG, you can get upgraded player aids. Sometimes
for
people add things to them that are important. They highlight stuff, and I download it and print those almost every game I've got.
But yeah,
almost.
If you're a person who's just got a stack of rule books and you just like reading the rule books, yeah, that's going to be miserable, frankly. Like, set the game up and then read the rules whilst you've got it set up, because this is going to help inspire you to keep reading when it gets hard. Or when you're reading about a thing, you can see it on the board and you're like, okay, this is the terrain effects chart. Look at these different types of terrains they've just talked about. Our movement through those, well, I can see the movement over here is going to be slow. This is going to be fast. So you can already start getting a gauge for where your rules are going to come into play as you're learning it. So having it out whilst you learn, sure, I like to sit in bed and read a rule book.
Yeah,
I can do that too.
Nothing wrong with that.
But if a game's giving you a hard time, get it out.
Yeah.
Get it out and read, set it up, follow the setup for the introductory scenario or whatever, and then read the rules whilst you've got it out. You'll be able to see what they mean.
Yeah.
They're talking about zones of control. Okay, well, these units are next to each other. Zones of control affect how the friction works between those units, or how much I need to move around you to inflict, attrition losses on you, to cut your supply. You'll be able to visualize those things much better than just, like, reading a paragraph in a black and white rules book. Mm-hmm. So that's a few tips and tricks and tactics. Again, there's like a whole other video on that as well.
Yeah.
I
will say this also. We still get rules wrong.
Oh, yeah.
We play games.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. We got a feel for how that game played. We just made a mistake. Now, the next time we play it, we're not going to make that same mistake again. And then strategy comes through play. That's the truth. I learn things from different players. That's why I love going to cons and playing other people and war games, because I'm like, ooh, never thought about that. I never thought about doing that. That's amazing. You learn.
Yes, and talking to designers, I like when game designers are accessible. Yeah, because you can have a chat with them about strategies in their games. And every single one, they're not trying to hide the strategies for themselves so they can beat you. That's not going to happen. They're going to be like, you need to do this, that, or this, or watch out for this, don't do this, don't do that.
Well, typically in my interviews, I always ask at the end, what are some of the general strategies for each side? And they'll tell me. They don't give all the depth.
Yeah.
But you get an idea.
But you can go on social media, you can go on Board Game Geek.
Yeah,
like a lot of these people are available, and if you have a question, you ask it, man, most of the time they will answer.
Agreed.
And you'll...
Especially war game designers, they're very accessible.
Yeah, it's not...
Very few of them are.
It's not a massive community, and they want to support their games because they've made, and they want you to enjoy it.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's you can do... Rules that way can be a bit slow once you get response you want it now, but for strategy tips... Ted Races on Twitter, and I asked him. I asked him a hell of a lot of questions about
Mark Herman's
Dark
the same
Valley
way.
whilst I was totally cocking it up. Yeah, and it was awesome. It was great to have that input of like, oh, this was my mistake. This is how I should do it. So that was some tips and tricks for learning some rules. Again, go and watch the On Reading Rules video as well. But that's it for this month, though.
I think that's it. We've talked for an hour and a half.
Yes.
Time to let them go.
Thanks for sticking through to everyone. If you want to have an opportunity to suggest a topic for an upcoming one, that's one of the reward levels on our Patreon, which the link is down below. But thank you very much for sticking with us and tuning in, especially for this long. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.